Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. It is a great year because, my friends, when it rains, it pours. And I will tell you, I will never, ever surrender my favorite German word, which is Schadenfreude. Now, I probably mispronounced it, but that is how I feel when Donald Trump is melting down. And he is melting down this week because of several events that are entirely outside of his control. And what I'm talking about is something we discussed last week. First, he is, got it, Jason. I'm going to turn up my volume. First, how's that? Is that too loud? Let me know. So, first, what is making Donald Trump melt down is, you guys, are you not hearing the audio? What is making Donald Trump absolutely melt down? Still low, you guys? What is making Donald Trump? Oh, yeah, absolutely melt the F down. There is something wrong with the flip-in mic. Okay, I'm going to move it, you guys. Okay, what is making Donald Trump, is that too loud? What is making Donald Trump melt down? Absolutely flippin' melt the hell down is that he is not happy that he doesn't have complete control of what's happening this week, next week, and the following week. Let's be clear. The first meltdown, the absolutely first meltdown happened when Donald Trump could not control the fact that the flags are going to be flying at half mast. You know this. The flags will be flying at half staff. They are now, and they will be on the inauguration. He does not want that to happen. We've talked about this, guys. We've talked about it. It is a law. And let me remind you, it is, I say a law, but it's an executive order from President Eisenhower. And it's not like Joe Biden is going to hop to it and waive that order. The rule is that for 30 days, we will have that flag. And let me just make it clear. It's half staff on all buildings, grounds, and naval vessels of the federal government in the District of Columbia and throughout the United States for 30 days, okay? And it also will be at all embassies as well. No one is going to notice. No one is going to notice that it's an important day for Donald Trump. In his mind, we are selfish for being gleeful that we are elevating a decent president and decent former president, namely Jimmy Carter, for his good works and his excellent presidency. And so this is what I am talking about. Nope. I'm going to get this one. Here we go. This is flippin' fabulous. Let's read it together. Imagine, as I read this, someone throwing ketchup across the room. Let me take a sip of coffee. This one is delicious. Let me tell you, here is how angry he is. The Democrats are all giddy. I am flippin' giddy, yeah, about our magnificent American flag potentially being at half-mast during my inauguration. Uh-oh, guys. Potentially? No, it will be, unless Donald Trump demands otherwise. This is what I told you. He's going to have a flipping fit, and he's going to demand he'll do an executive order to override it. I swear to you, that is how arrogant he is. It is not lack of respect for the flag. It is the utmost respect for the flag. It is saying the flag is so sacred. The nation is so sacred that only on rare events, when someone who has been elevated to the office of the presidency passes away, we honor them by lowering the flag. Let me assure you, He would expect that honor. Don Jr. would demand it. But anyway, then he goes on to say they think it's so great and are so happy about it because in actuality, they don't love our country. And this is my favorite part. They don't love our country. They only think about themselves. Dr. Freud, we have a textbook example of projection. Look at what they've done to our once great America over the past 4 years. It is a total mess. Actually, the stock market is at an all-time high. We have had incredible changes. In fact, there is now, in effect, the Medicaid prescription drug limit. I think it's like $2,000 a year. There's a limit on insulin. We've had incredible 4 years. Okay, but he says it's a total mess in any event because of the death of President Jimmy Carter. The flag may, for the first time ever, during an inauguration of a future president, be at half-mast. Nobody wants to see this. Oh, hell fucking yes. I want to see it. I want to see it. I absolutely do. Jimmy Carter deserves it. And then he says, and no American can be happy about it. Let's see how it plays out. Make America great again. Oh, yeah. I can't wait, you guys, to see how it plays out. Is he really going to, at noon, put in place an executive order the second he becomes president? His first action in the presidency, it's because he loves America and doesn't only think of himself. It is crazy. But let us add to Donald Trump's meltdown. Because as you know, this is the first thing that pissed him off. And then came Friday, January 3rd. You know this. This is the very day where Mike Johnson struggled to get elected as Speaker of the House. But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the only judge that I have seen so far to have the kind of cojones, or shall I say, I have to say cojones because it's a man. I could say ovaries, but at any rate, the temerity. Judge Juan Merchan said on Friday, guys, I am ready to sentence Donald Trump, and he will be sentenced on January 10th. So on Friday the 3rd, a few days ago, he gave them 1 week, and he said, listen, Donald Trump is going to be sentenced. He needs to appear. I believe it's 9:30 this coming Friday, January 10th. The appearance, I believe, will be virtual. I think he has an option in that way. And what I want to know, guys, is it going to be open to the world, to the public? I don't know. I don't know how that sentencing will play out. It certainly strikes me that at least reporters have to be led, and it has to be public in some way. So we will follow that. And in the event, and as you know, this show starts at 8:30 in the morning. I think that we should have the show and then stick around for the sentencing, right? Let's make it a show that we can do that. Okay, so guys, he is pissed off. Now, let me just be clear. This is, he has gone through all the arguments that Donald Trump has tried to make, saying that this immunity case would make it impossible to sentence him. He's also tried to invoke this idea of a future president, that he shouldn't be sentenced. The bottom line, the sentencing matters, because if Merchan can go through with the sentencing on the 10th, officially Donald Trump will be a convicted felon. Now, we call him a felon because of the jury finding him guilty on 34 felonies, right? But he will be a convicted felon. That is huge once that sentencing is imposed. Now, on the other hand, I have just praised Merchan. However, I know a lot of you are upset and wish that the sentence would come with some form of incarceration. It sounds like, based on this memorandum that comes with this order for Donald Trump to show up at the sentencing, it sounds like the judge has decided not to have any form of incarceration whatsoever. That doesn't mean there won't be a punitive aspect of this, but that is really where we are at this point. Now, I imagine Donald Trump is going to try to do everything he can within the bounds of the law and maybe beyond to prevent this sentencing from happening. I'm wondering if he's even going to bother to show up. So we'll keep our eyes on that. But this is the meltdown. Let's do this. Okay. And I'm not going to read this one in its entirety. This was Friday at 8:30 p.m. Hold on one second. Let me just see. Oh, let me do this one. Oh, yeah. This was Friday at 8:30 p.m. And he's claiming that every legal scholar and pundit, and he throws some names around, says that, and many others have equivocally stated that the Manhattan DA's witch hunt is a non-existent case. Okay, so like I am, guys, just to be clear with this, I don't talk about it a lot, but I am a legal scholar. And as you know, I'm an expert on white collar crime. And I hate to say that word, but it's a fact, right? I've not only written the book Big Dirty Money, which is for the general public, but I have a case book on corporate and white collar crime. And in fact, today, this semester, it's the first day of the semester, and I'm beginning the first day of my white collar crime class at my law school. Now, no, it is not a how-to class. So no, not every scholar agrees that this is a BS case. And it goes on and on and on. And he's angry, 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 angry. Okay, that's all I'm going to say, right? You can rewind if you want and read that. But he's still pissed off. This was Friday. He is still angry. He's still angry at Alvin Bragg. And he's just flipping out. And he's claiming it's politically motivated. Anyhow, so I just want to let you know, I am absolutely thrilled. Now, let's move on from that to something a little more solemn, which today, my friends, and yes, Alan Dershowitz, kissy cat, Alan Dershowitz, I'm glad you mentioned him. Did you all know that when I was in law school, he was my crim law professor? Oh boy. Oh boy, does anyone want to hear some stories about Alan Dershowitz? And I can say them without getting sued for defamation. Alan Dershowitz has the most cruel eyes of almost anyone I have seen. He looks piercingly at students with anger. He is an asshole completely. And let me tell you that he was obsessed with talking about rape. It's our criminal law class. I don't recall any discussion of white collar crime, but he would talk about rape all the time without regard to the fact that it might have triggered many of us young women. And then final exam was the most disgusting rape hypothetical. And if you don't believe me, I can share with you, Harvard Law School keeps all of their exams archived, and you can go back and look. And I want to say it was the spring semester of, I'm getting up there, spring semester of 1991. You can go look at our criminal law exam. But if it's hard for you to find, I will in a future class share that link for you, and you can see how disgusting it is. But enough of Alan Dershowitz. Let us move on to something a little more somber, which is today is January 6th, right? And I know there's a big constitutional event where there's a joint session of Congress, and there's going to be the official counting of the Electoral College votes to declare who the president and vice president are. And, that's troubling enough. I mean, I wish we had a popular vote, I guess. That would be more fair. But if you actually look at the popular vote, you can kind of see that it was pretty flippin' close. And in this case, in previous years, and in this case, Donald Trump won anyway. But I would prefer a popular vote. I don't love 538 sages being selected in a disproportionate manner. I would love if we could abolish Electoral College, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. Doesn't mean we shouldn't keep arguing for it. But the reason why I mentioned that is because 4 years ago, a lot of us have PTSD around what happened, around the attack on the US Capitol, around Donald Trump's encouraging of them to fight, to stir up his violent crowd that we know from Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony and others from the reports on the events of January 6th, that he absolutely knew that they were armed. He wanted them to go through the magnetometers because they were his people, he said. So there were two things. One, they claimed it was some left-wing, false flag, and also knew that it was his people, and he said they wouldn't attack him. And they were yelling, "Hang Mike Pence," and he didn't do anything about it. He watched it on TV. It took ages for him to try to do anything, to make any kind of statement. And initially, we know after the insurrection, there was this huge denouncement of Donald Trump. And there was that impeachment. We all remember this. It was disastrous. And now there is, of course, a revisionist history around this. And so I'm really glad. I want to do a compare and contrast here of Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff discussing what his view of Donald Trump's legacy in light of January 6th. And then we're going to compare it in a moment to the new Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, and he is just a reincarnation of Mitch McConnell, but just more unctuous. Here we go.
Peacefully transfer power is a real solemn occasion, I think, for the whole country. But it has another meaning now that we had this terrible, violent attack 4 years ago. For those of us that were there in the Capitol, it's going to be, I think, quite an emotional experience to be back in that environment on that day. I invited Daniel Hodges, one of the Metropolitan Police officers who was being crushed in that revolving door, to remind people of what that day was really like, given all the revisionist history around it. But if the president goes forward with pardoning vast numbers of people involved in that violence, he will begin his new administration the way he ended his last administration, and that is by celebrating violence against our democracy. I think that would be a terrible start, send a terrible message about our democracy, about lawlessness, about people who attacked police officers. Be exactly the wrong message on, and the wrong way to start out an administration.
Thank you, Senator Adam Schiff. We can call him that now. He has officially joined the Senate after being a courageous member of the House from California. Now let's compare that to the apologetic, has no spine, completely craven John Thune, Senate Majority Leader. Here we go.
4 years since January 6th, since the attack on the Capitol. You were here that day. You've been in this building for more than 20 years. In my interview with him, President-elect Trump said he plans to pardon those who attacked the Capitol on that day, and potentially even some of those who pleaded guilty to assaulting police officers. Do you support that, pardoning people who attacked police officers who stormed the Capitol that day? Well, I mean, as we've discovered under the Biden administration, the pardon authority is a very broad one. I mean, he's taken it to a whole new level. That's ultimately going to be a decision that President Trump is going to have to make. And, you know, what I'm focused on is the future, and not looking in the rearview mirror, but looking at the windshield. And
fuck you. Fuck you all the way up and down Capitol fucking Hill, John Thune. Excuse me, guys. It's Monday, but I just have to say that. What an absolute bullshit false binary distinction between the past and the future. How in the world is he actually, with a credible demeanor, and that's why he's looking down, how can you credibly claim that pardoning people who engage in a violent insurrection against Capitol Police to try to keep you in office, how is pardoning them the past? That is the future. It's sending a message. This is the opposite of punishment. By letting them free, by lifting these punishments, by lifting these criminal charges, he has given license to people in the future to do his bidding, because he will pardon them. The next 4 years will promise to be hell for people who are at the mercy of Donald Trump's vigilantes. And I'm telling you it like it is. And I'm telling you that, yes, I will resist. Yes, I will speak out. But do not judge anyone. Don't us dare. We should not dare judge anyone who just retreats, who keeps out of the line of fire. We have to be careful. Now, yes, organize with people. Yes, create communities of mutual support. But please keep yourself safe. These folks aren't joking. Okay, let me continue with this sleazebag.
And what we have to do, I think you learn from the past, you remember the past, but you live in the present and the future. And right.
This is the party that was supposed to be tough on crime. This party, this Republican Party, has been taken over by the fringes for a while, And we know that this Republican Party stands for only two things: tax cuts and hate. Tax cuts for the super rich and hatred of anyone who is defined as an other with, I don't know, I think you understand who they think this country is for, because they want to bring it back to the 19th century. They want to bring it back to the era of just around the time of the Civil War, if not earlier. And we know damn well who didn't have voting rights. No women had voting rights. No one who was not white, defined as white, had voting rights. You know, we've talked about this, that women until the 70s, there were states where women could not have their own bank account or credit card. All of this is what they want. So they say they don't want to look at the past, but the way they revere the past and the way they pardon violence tells you what their real plans are. Now, in case you, so the hate is also, of course, against immigrants. And one of the only good thing here is there appears to be tension within the party. I don't think this so-called civil war is going to make a damn bit of difference. Donald Trump will still make sure that Elon Musk has workers coming in through H-1B visas. And by the way, I think those are great. I think we should have more of those. It's fantastic. That's not my issue. And yet at the same time, he's going to make sure he deports people, right? We're going to see that soon. And he's going to bring the tax cuts in. He's going to appease the oligarchy. See, this is how it works. It's almost like the Southern strategy, but it's the kind of Donald Trump, Bannon, Elon Musk strategy. They may act and they may all believe that, there's this populist undercurrent of the party, but they're going to make sure that they satisfy their owners, the oligarchs like Elon Musk and Putin. And they're also going to make sure to throw some red meat to the people who are getting screwed over financially by deporting immigrants and by visiting discrimination against people, including women and anyone who is not perceived of as white. Now, let us make this. Before I'm going to take a little palate cleanser break before we get into that ugly stuff and say, I want to share with you, though, our person of the day. And that person of the day is someone who Joe Biden gave one of the medals of freedom to. So Joe Biden had a medal ceremony this weekend, and they included the Medal of Freedom, which I think he only gave to 18 people, but then there's also these medals of honor and citizen medals. And apparently there's a hierarchy, and the highest medal you can get is a Medal of Freedom. And on that list included people like Hillary Clinton, and some were posthumous, and that included Robert Kennedy Sr., also who is still alive, and he's not alive, but George Soros, who is still alive, and so on. But my person of the day, my friends, is Michael J. Fox, beloved actor and advocate for Parkinson's. Let's play this.
The Presidential Medal of Freedom is awarded to Michael J. Fox. Michael J. Fox is one of the most beloved actors of our time. With remarkable wit and charm, he introduced iconic characters to the center of American culture, from Alex P. Keaton to Marty McFly and more. With undaunted resilience and optimism, he also warms hearts and captivates audiences as a fearless advocate for those with Parkinson's disease, channeling his endearing personality to advance treatments, move us closer to a cure, and remind us of the power of American possibilities.
That brings me so much joy. He has done so much for people who are in communities who have disabilities or other medical complications, whether they're hidden disabilities or apparent. And I think he is absolutely wonderful. So that is our person of the day. Now, I also have, before we get to some hard stuff and then to Crazy Town, I also have a Today I Learned. And today I learned, and this is based on something that happened Friday. Today I learned that there still can be outright joy across party lines. And, you know, I'm not someone who is wanting to do bipartisanship for the sake of it. And I certainly don't want anyone helping Donald Trump accomplish his agenda or put little icing on the cake. I don't want any, you know, people talk about this as, you know, if you heard in the context of climate, climate change, people talk about greenwashing, where maybe a business that is really harming the environment does one little nice thing. It's kind of like how, you know, Bernie Madoff, the major Ponzi schemer, how he also, you know, gave to charity. This is part of affinity scams. Well, we should not. Thank you so much, Lally. We should not, as Democrats, participate in any kind of blue washing. We, you know, even though, yes, we should do things to help our constituents. However, do not let Donald Trump hold out something and say it was, oh, the Democrats wanted this too. This is what 77 million people voted for. Let them see what that looks like. Now, of course, fight back against deportations. Fight back. Denounce. As my images say right here, resist and reject. The first one says rise up, then it says resist and reject. More on that in a second. We should do that. Nothing in here says help blue wash. Okay, so here is my Today I Learned, though. This brings me great joy. It happened on Friday, and it relates to the announcement that Matt Gaetz, because we thought he was going to try to get back into the House, even though he had resigned, that he's not. Here we go.
The clerk is in receipt of a letter from the Honorable Matt Gaetz of the state of Florida, indicating that he will not serve in the House in the 119th Congress. Without objection, the letters relating to his resignation will be printed in the record.
I love that. I love the applause. He will not be serving in the 119th Congress. Fan-effing-tastic. The idea that he served in the 118th Congress and didn't resign earlier is kind of disgusting. Okay, guys. Now, before we get to Crazy Town, I want to say this thing, which is as follows. You know, James Carville, you might remember him. He's still around as a pundit. He had that famous expression, or became iconic or whatever. And he said, it's the economy, stupid, right? And that was supposed to make everyone wake up to the fact that that is what people vote on, the bread and butter issues. Let me tell you, though, I have an expression. I'm probably not coining it. But what I want to say, it is the tax cuts stupid. People in this country, unfortunately, will sacrifice the civil rights and the human rights of people they don't see as valued, or they are members of classes. They could be women. They could be Black people in America. There could be people who are saying, I'm benefiting. I don't care if others don't. But for the most part, I'm talking sort of generally, the 77 million Trump voters, a huge portion of them, it's the tax cuts stupid. And they don't care about deportation or abortion rights or women bleeding out in emergency rooms or the fact that benefits will be cut that we have paid into. Social Security is not an entitlement. We paid into it. Medicaid is not an entitlement. We pay into it. Medicare is not an entitlement. We pay for it. They are fine with cutting that in the interest of getting more money that they don't actually need And in fact, as we see, too much money is kind of like a hoarding and addiction disorder. You cannot take it with you. Doesn't make you happy. It fills the emptiness in corrupt, greedy souls. And to quote one of my favorite Jewish men, Jesus, as he said, a rich man is as likely to get into heaven as a camel through the eye of a needle. Okay, so that is my philosophy. It is the tax cuts stupid. And how do I know this? Let's take a look right now, yet again, at Fox News. And we will hear the view here. Here we go.
But I want to put in my thing, just real quick, one big, beautiful bill. Let's put it all on the table. I need a blue-collar boom. I need tax cuts and border security and deregulation and some defense spending and some budget cutting and so forth. One big, beautiful bill. A friend of mine told me that. I can't say who, but I was going to try to lobby you for it.
All right, well, duly noted, and what I can share with you, Larry, is that we are going as a conference to work on that very thing tomorrow at about 9:30 a.m. So we're going to be talking about it all day tomorrow to make sure that we get that done.
You see, I knew you were a star. I absolutely knew it. I understand it.
You're too kind.
Lisa McLean, thank you ever so much. Congratulations on your speech today. Appreciate it.
You heard that. He wants whatever kind of the first bill they put out to have tax cuts and budget cuts to pay for the rich people's tax cuts. Now, in case you didn't fully believe me that this was what was going on, let's also take a listen to Congressman Chip Roy on with Steve Bannon. And I know it's early in the morning, so, sorry if you've eaten something a little heavy. Here we go.
Noon, when you start talking reconciliation, you get Jason Smith and those guys up there doing the 3-card money because they want to hide what's really in the tax part. Where are we going to be, sir?
So my preference was, and I've been public about this, was 2 bills to do exactly what you just said. I want border security. I want energy. Let's reverse all the Biden crap. Let's bank some wins. Let's bank some savings. And then use that to leverage and set up whatever we need to do on the overall mandatory spending cuts. That is, reforming Medicaid and cutting SNAP and all that in exchange for what we're doing with respect to the tax relief, and put that in a package. But now it.
Hold on, is he listening to some country music in the background? I'm not fully getting it, but let me keep playing. Sorry to get distracted. Let me just back up. Let me just get back up. Hold on.
To do on the overall mandatory spending cuts, that is, reforming Medicaid and cutting SNAP and all that in exchange for what we're doing with respect to the tax relief, and put that in a package. But now it looks.
Wait. Don't let him gloss over that. Listen, what is he? They just say it like it's no fucking big deal. They want us to die. They want us all to go broke. What pigs? Okay, listen to what he's saying. I'm just going to play it again. Don't let him just say it in a fucking nonchalant way. Do it. Listen.
Set up whatever we need to do on the overall mandatory spending cuts. That is, reforming Medicaid and cutting SNAP and all that.
Cutting SNAP? Do you know what SNAP is? Do you know what SNAP is, you guys? I know people who have had SNAP. It's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It's like emergency. It's like what we used to call food stamps. It helps supplement budgets of very often women and children. Fuck you. Okay, continue. Listen to what else he's saying.
Exchange for what we're doing with respect to the tax relief, and put that in a package. But now it looks like there might be a single bill approach. My standards are still going to be the same. There must be deficit neutrality. The border must get done, and it shouldn't take.
Okay, deficit neutrality. What they're saying is we want to give billionaires, 100 millionaires and corporations their tax cut. We want to extend it, even though it hasn't fucking paid for itself so far, right? And in addition, though, he wants what's called budget neutrality, which is sort of part of what Congress has designed. It doesn't have to happen that way, but that's what that means. He wants reciprocating tax cuts, spending cuts. And so let's take food out of children's mouths. That's a good way, not Dickensian at all. And what he's also saying is he wanted 2 separate bills. So the border stuff, meaning deporting people, rounding up 10 million people, if not more, separating families, putting children in prisons and cages. He wanted that in a separate bill, but now he understands it's all going to be in one. Okay, let's continue.
Till May, June, July, right? Which is what they're risking doing by putting it in one package.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of good, though. They won't get it till May, June, or July at best. Let's see how this goes. I will follow it, obviously, on Friday with our whiteboard to see how these discussions are going. But now, my friends, it is time for Crazy Town. I have missed Crazy Town. You know how much I love it. Let's do it. Today's Crazy Town involves Lindsey Graham, because whenever Lindsey Graham, when they trot him out to say the most ridiculous things, having met the guy in person, I can kind of now judge. Not that I can't say he's on a bender, because that could be defamatory, but when he's saying things he doesn't really believe in, he looks so much worse. So let's take a look at Lindsey Graham. And this is Crazy Town. And he is talking about the cabinet nominees. Let's listen, guys. Here we go.
The last 4 years have been a friggin' disaster. They rolled back every policy that worked on the border. They went back into the Iran nuclear agreement, giving out to hundreds of millions of dollars is used for terrorism. The confirmations.
Oh, my God. That scared me. I have to play that again. Maria Bartiromo. I mean, I swear to you, she sounds like the Wicked Witch of the West. The East, remember, it was under the house. Okay, let's just play that again. And by the way, I'm only playing it once because it may scare you. Here we go.
Hundreds of millions of dollars is used for terrorism. The confirmations, do them now, do them quick. Get them all done in January, February. We need our team on the field. We need an FBI director. We need an attorney general. We need them all. Get it done. We got to get it done.
Oh, my God. Yeah, get it done. Good luck with that. And I'm so glad to be back. I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow. Enjoy Crazy Town.